Hi there folks, welcome to RRTV's live coverage of the Australian Online Supercar Championship, coming to you tonight from Spa for the Spa 150k Sprint. Sorry for our delay in getting on air tonight folks, we had a few issues with the server. They're all sorted out now and we can get the show on the road. So as you can see folks, they're out there at the moment qualifying. We've got 16 minutes of qualifying left, and if we have a look at the total amount of drivers we've got in the server, it's a huge turnout tonight. We've got 51 cars in the server at the moment, so we can expect a big field, and it's going to be quite an interesting race, that's for sure. I'm sure a lot of the drivers have got their racing face on and trying to shake the nerves, get back into the swing of things for this race.
Yeah, Bernie, it's never a fun moment when you're trying to work the servers and get them up properly. A bit stressful, but luckily we've made it now, and I think everyone's hung around and in here for hopefully a good race tonight.
Yeah, and it was awesome work by yourself there to get all that sorted, because I know I could hear it in your voice. You're a little bit nervy, but you got it sorted, so well done, mate.
Yeah, well, it's always a bit stressful. You always worry, you know you've got people hanging around, and as time clicks on, it turns it into a later and later night, but lucky it's a Friday. Exactly
right, and let's have a look while the guys are out there. Let's go over and we'll have a look at tonight's race, Nick. And basically we're looking at round 8 tonight, 21 laps around Spa, and an incident limit of 25. So can you tell the viewers a little bit about what they can expect in this 150k tonight?
Yeah, well, sorry, just swallowing a lolly. It's the incident limit that's going to be partly part of the management process for a lot of drivers tonight. Now, they have made some changes to this track in the most recent build to fix some of the off-track issues, but it's still a very easy track to get some off-tracks on, coming out through Eau Rouge and around the double left-hander. I can't remember the name of the corners, about turns 7 and 8. And also around Blanchimont are the three areas where it's easy to rack up some incidents that the drivers will have to be conscious of. But yeah, 21 laps, so hopefully they'll make it through. We will have a random safety car at some stage too, and everyone will have to pit for fuel and tyres.
And that's what I love about this series, Nick, is that random safety car. It just adds it to the mix. No one knows when it's coming out, and well, only one person does, and they're normally kept under lock and key until that safety car's released.
Yeah, so yeah, but we'll I don't even know when it's coming out yet, so I've still got a couple of little admin things that I've got to get underway.
No worries. And if we have a look at our overall driver standings, folks, well, let's see if I can get a better view of this. No, I can't. There you go. I'm having trouble with my own overlays as well, but I can assure you Ian Ford is leading at the moment on 1735 points, followed closely by Marlon McMullen. He's 135 points behind him. Then in third we've got Brady Mayers. He's 370 points down from the leader, and then we have Riley Blythe in fourth. Matt Stratford, he rounds out your top 5 in the overall drivers' standings tonight.
And just looking, I can't see Ian Ford in the server tonight, so I'm not too sure if he's running late or is a no-show. So that's going to open it up a little bit at the start. I know he's already missed one race to this season, so hopefully he'll might turn up later, but we should see some shake-up in the championship standings if he's not here.
Yeah, it'll close it right up, won't it? And of course, the guys are pretty much racing for that fantastic Pagnian Simulator prize, and it doesn't go to the person who wins the series. It basically goes to the person, from what I understand. Well, they all get entries, don't they? And then that goes back to Pagnian Simulation, who's going to draw that name out. and then we'll present it on the final round. That's my understanding anyway, Nick.
Yeah, there's I think there's, I can't remember if it's 3 or 4 get drawn out with a couple of rounds to go, and then they basically, 100 words or 50 words or something, write down why they want one of the rigs, and then Pagnian selects the winner from those 4 to be announced just before the final race of the year.
Okay, fantastic. So that clears a few things up. And at the moment, folks, let's have a look at our qualifying standings. The guys have 11 minutes to go out there, and your top 10 as they stand. Dane Warren, he set provisional pole with a 2:20.662. In fact, he just set that. Riley Blythe has been pushed down to second. We've got Brian Borg, he's currently in third, and he's out on the track at the moment. We'll bring up his qualifying lap. Well, he'll start his hot lap in a minute, and we'll watch that. Then we've got Thomas Hinn sitting in fourth. Fifth is Ethan Warren. Sixth, Daniel Williams. 7th, Michael Talenjak. Then we've got Jason Bentz in 8th. 9th, Juran Nakora, and Mitchell Bales. He rounds out the top 10 as they stand at the moment.
Yeah, and the times are pretty close, and we're still only halfway through qualifying, so plenty of time for people to make a move. Just scrolling through the field, a couple of things of note that I've picked up is, I'm not too sure if you've had them on camera yet, the MFR team, Middle Finger Racing, are running a new livery tonight, which looks pretty good if we want to get a chance to get a glimpse at that. And there's also a new team here tonight, Dingo Racing as well, which has got the 069 of Josh Morgan and Matthew Godwin. I haven't seen if he's in the survey yet as well, that are joining the series for the first time tonight.
Yeah, you can see Josh down there at the moment. He's just sitting in the pits, and that car's beautifully presented, and yeah, beautiful. So we'll see him in action once he comes out of the pits. And I'm just having a look here because we do have a lukewarm lap to bring you tonight, folks. I'm just making sure I can cue that up, and we'll go and have a look at that. Then we'll come back for the final qualifying.
Well, welcome to round 8 of the AOSC. We're at Spa today for the Spa 150. So 21 laps around one of the best circuits available on iRacing. Unfortunately, like most tracks, I'm not overly good at this one, but hey, what the hell. It's about giving people a look at the track that may not necessarily have the game, and watching the broadcast, sitting back and wanting to know a bit more about the track. So as we come around this warm-up lap, we'll jump on board and see how we go. There are a couple of places that they've changed the track in the new build. They've made some off-tracks a bit more lenient because it was pretty ridiculous before, and the first one of them is just here where you used to drop off that curb like that and it'd give you an off-track. So let's get going anyway. Here we come to the final chicane. I prefer to take this in second gear just to keep the wheel spin to a minimum on an exit. As we come out here and we shoot down this very short straight down into a source, which leads us to one of the best pieces of track you can get. Again, this is a corner I prefer to take in second gear just to minimise that wheel spin. And we get flat out down here in the fifth gear, and we sort of hold our breath when we get to the bottom, I guess. I just hit the brakes for a little while just as we exit this curve on the left, but we'll just hold our breath and hope we make the curves there and coming out, and breathe a sigh of relief because I've made it. Nice long camel straight coming down into Los Toms, the chicane at the end. Third gear. The good thing about this track are the curbs are really user friendly, but I'll tell you what, coming down to this chicane, if you're overtaking someone and in their draft, you've got to really be careful of your braking mark because it's so easy to go deep. So we head into turn 10. I hate this corner, I'm pretty useless at it. If you're stuck behind me, just wait for this turn or the following couple, because I'm sure to stuff it up at some stage. Anyway, as we cruise down the hill, this is another sort of off-camber, very easy place to get an off-track on exit if you run it out too wide there on the right, and then flat out in 5th. As we come down to another sequence of third gear corners. Again, taking a lot of curb because the car really handles the curves around this track pretty well. I just bang it on the limiter here in 3rd rather than going up to 4th. If I'm not concentrating, I'll hit 4th and then have to go back down. As we feather the throttle around here in 4th, ran it a bit wide. And then we come flat out through Blanchimont. And just for the second part of it, I'll just drop it down to 5th, down into that curve again. But you can run it out there now without getting an off track. And again into the final chicane, heavy on the brakes, 2nd gear. Maintaining or focusing on trying to get a good exit. Quick little blurt down to the start finish line. If you're on a hot lap, you'll just stay right rather than move over to the left to get the line here for turn 1. So there it is. There's your lukewarm lap around Spa. Hope to see you on track tonight and enjoy the broadcast.
So folks, that was our lukewarm lap there, and we had of course yourself there doing that, Nick. Great job, and I love the new camera angle you got working there.
Yeah, just trying to offer something a little bit different for our viewers out there that either don't have the track or iRacing at all and like to sit back, so they get to see a bit what it's like from sitting behind my head, trying to get my ugly mug into the shot at every left-handed corner opportunity I get.
Yeah, and it was interesting as you were going through, where were you? The Radion and Eau Rouge there, you could just hear the grunting as you went through there. Very interesting indeed. It made me feel a bit tense just riding with you.
Oh, it'd be an amazing sensation in real life, wouldn't it? I mean, you could just imagine getting pushed right down into the base of your seat and all the air being sucked out of your lungs with the G-forces in, pretty much any car going through that section of track. It'd just be unbelievable, wouldn't it? Yeah,
it certainly would. And one thing that's unbelievable at the moment, while we were gone, the top 5 haven't really changed. We've still got Dane Warren, he's out there at the moment in the Rack Corp entry, sitting in provisional pole. Riley Blythe still second. He's not on the track at the moment, but Brian Borg is, and he's just ahead of him. Let's have a look. He's starting his lap, so we'll ride with him as he does this. No, he's bailing, so he's not going to improve at the moment. Marlon McMullen, he's not out on the track either, nor is Michael Hammond. Thomas Hins, he's not on the track at the moment. Jason is just coming around to start a hot lap now. Then we've got Ethan Warren, also not on track. Daniel Williams is on track, and Michael Talenjak, he's not on track. So the top 10, not many of them are out there at the moment, Nick.
No, and what have they got? 4 minutes to go, so if they want to go out for one more crack at it, they better get out there pretty quick. But great showing by the laser racing guys here tonight, isn't it? Sitting in 3rd, 5th and 7th at the moment, so they obviously like that side of the track as well, because they're all going to be lined up one behind the other the way it is at the moment. But 3 cars in the field and they're all sitting inside the top 7, so a fantastic effort by those guys.
Yeah, it certainly is. We can see Thomas Hins just coming out now to try to improve, and we'll jump back to Jason Bentz. Let's see what he can do. He's sitting in 7th at the moment. The target he wants here, Nick, is 2:20.662. His best time around here, though, is 2:21.751.
Yeah, I think the other way to look at it is if he knocks 2/10 off his time, he jumps up 3 spots. So that's probably more doable and potentially what he's looking at for his target this lap.
Yeah, so we'll definitely see how he goes here. And of course, folks, we've got the various camera angles coming your way tonight. The usual gyro cam. We've got the cockpit cam, which is actually, we should really call it the helmet cam, shouldn't we? Because that's where we're looking from.
Yeah.
Let's turn up the volume a bit so everyone can hear the beautiful sounds of these V8 supercars. And to see him at work there now, 1 minute 40 he is at the moment, and we're just coming down. Let's get a look at my track map. I think we're just coming down to towards Blanchimont now. So through here, Nick, we saw you were actually going down a gear through that. Is that normal, or are the faster guys going to actually go through there in sixth?
Well, a lot of it also depends on what gear ratio you use. If you can use the 1.0 drop gear, which is what I use. We'll just get Jason coming across the line now. Let's see what his time is. It jumps him right up to P3 with a 21.2, so that's a bit more than the 2/10 that I said he was looking at getting. That's a fantastic time.
Absolutely brilliant. He'll be really happy with that. We're only 48 seconds to go. You can see Brian Borg. He's just starting a hot lap now. Not sure, Nick, what do you think? Is he going to have enough time to complete this lap? 37 seconds to go, then he should squeak it in, shouldn't he?
Yeah, he should be right, because he's crossed the start-finish line, so he's got plenty of time to do that. But yeah, sorry, back on your question about dropping down to fifth, is that you can use either the 1.042 drop gear as well, which is a slightly lower gearing, which those drivers may not drop down at that second part of Blanchimont. They might just keep it in sixth. The problem with that drop gear for me is that you can run out of puff on Kennel Straight, which can make you vulnerable, or can make it very difficult to pass someone if you're hitting your limiter in sixth. Plus, I also like with the one drop gear the way you can keep it in third gear through a lot of the other corners. So that's just a personal preference. If people are running the 1.042, they probably will stay in sixth, and I think Brian's running the 1.04, so we'll see what he does as he heads through there anyway.
Yeah, so the time so far, folks, as he comes now, he's just through Puhon into campus here, turn 13-14. 1:33 is his time at the moment, Nick.
Yeah, we'll see how he goes. Sorry, I was just getting on board just to make sure I could see if he does go down that gear or not, because he's coming up to the corners now.
Yes, you can see now he's just coming down through Blanchimont and towards Blanchimont now into the final chicane here. 2:05, folks. You can see it ticking down now.
He kept it in sixth as well.
Did he? Okay. So into the chicane now, 2:13. He's running out of time, big time, if he wants pole position, but I guess he will be aiming at trying to move up a few places. Can he pip Jason Bentz? That is the question. He goes across and he does not improve.
No, it just stays there. So, but still, fourth on the grid, he'd be very happy with that.
Massively happy with that, and I tell you what, we better get onto this grid because it's absolutely massive, and we're going to run out of time to call all the drivers out.
Yes, we will indeed.
Okay, so let's have a look at the grid, folks. So Dane Warren, he's going to start from pole tonight with Riley Blythe out of second. Jason Bentz, he jumped up to third with Brian Borg staying in fourth. Marlon McMullen will start out of fifth tonight. Michael Hammond, sixth position. Out of seventh tonight, Thomas Hinds, followed by Ethan Warren. Daniel Williams will start out of ninth, and Michael Tallenjack out of 10th. Duran Nakora, he'll start out of 11th tonight, and Mitchell Bales will start out of 12th.
Brady Myers sitting in 13th, followed by Mitch Campbell in 14th. Nathan Tregarthen for Triple S as well, so the two of the boys there sitting in 14th and 15th. Matt Muggleton 16, Connor McCluskey Young 17, Mark Samuel in 18, Warren Pickering 19, Paul Preston 20, Jamie McKnight 21, Thomas McMillan 22, Nick Cummings 23, James McKee 24.
Out of 25th tonight is David Kinmont, followed by Stephen Varga. Then we have David Miller starting in 27th, Matt Lepodovan out of 28th, 29th Chris, and then 30th is Cody. Out of 31st, Gene Fittis, followed by James Scott in 32nd. Jacob Knight, he's going to start out of 33rd tonight. Tony Gaffer out of 34th. Kyle Stokes, he'll start out of 35th. And Daryl Hockey, he will start in 36th position.
And then we've got Jonathan Dean in 37, Brenton O'Brien 38, Dave Oliver in 39th, Daniel Stevens 40, Kai Sloggett 41, Daniel Vassell 42, Troy Allen, Simon Mazzomo, Daniel Leet, who should probably be up here in 45th, Josh Morgan 46, Colin Bruns 47, Andrew Johnston 48, and on the last row of the grid we've got Mark Turner and Matt Stratford.
Yeah, so a good size field there of 50 drivers, and they're starting to come out now. Let's jump into the blimp very quickly and have a look at how far back these boys are. And, well, can we actually go all the way back? It's not actually giving me a very good view from the blimp. We'll have to fire the pilot. But we can see them already, all down in the chicane, up into the front there. Where's Mr. Leet? Well, he's starting right on the chicane, and we'll, of course, be crossing to him.
Just as he goes through Eau Rouge, I think it'd be a good time.
Yeah, I was going to say when we go under the caution. But, yeah, it sounds like you're being a bit nastier than me. So we can see the guys now just waiting for everyone to line up. And I'll tell you what, from this angle, Nick, we're looking dead on. You can't even see the cars in the chicane.
No, it's going to be fun for those guys. Hopefully everyone makes it through, though.
Yeah, definitely hold your breath, folks, because it's going to be interesting. I'll tell you what, as going up through Eau Rouge for the first time, 50 V8 supercars, Nick, you know, what can possibly go wrong? Obviously, they're going to get through the other side and it's all going to be sweet.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm sure everyone's responsible and they're going to be careful and give each other room and respect, and there won't be any problems at all.
Oh, exactly right. It'll just be smooth sailing. But here we go, folks. Speaking of smooth sailing, we are just about to come underway here for the Spa 150, and we'll wait for the revs to rise. Dane Warren on pole, and we're away. Riley Blythe on the outside here. Dane should get a good run. Riley's trying to move across here. You can see down the inside is Jason Bance trying to push Riley out, and they're banging panels already. Big accident behind though. One of the PRA cars, that might have been Brady Myers, in a lot of trouble.
Oh, and look, we've got them all coming down here. That's a massive accident, isn't it, on the way down to Eau Rouge, and that's going to pull the safety car out straight away.
Yeah, the whole track is blocked, folks. You can see them. They're all trying to get through. There's nowhere to go. And we can see now Brady coming through. So let's jump back and have a look at how this unfolded. So you can just see the start here now. And we'll keep an eye on Brady, because it looks like he got turned around, and he's just on the inside of 17. And yeah, he did get together there, and all hell did break loose. And let's try and get a better angle of this if we can. That's a better angle. And they just sort of piled up, didn't they? And the track got completely blocked, Nick.
Yeah, look, of course we predicted it by saying that everyone was going to give each other room and the like, and it, yeah, I mean, part of the problem is it looks like he got together with, I couldn't quite see what the car was, it got him up onto two wheels. The number 17, I'm not too sure who that was. They just got together, and that's sort of got Brady up on two wheels, and then all hell broke loose from there. But you know, people really just need to learn when they see stuff like this in front of them. They've just got to lift.
Exactly right. That's exactly what they need to do. So, folks, we may see the safety car come out very shortly. It won't be a random one. It'll be one to reset the field. But I'm just trying to get a list of the cars in trouble. We can see at the moment on track is the PRA entry. All the cars here are backing right up here, Nick, and I'm not sure what's going on. I think some of the engines have died here.
Yeah, there's a few people in a fair bit of trouble.
Yeah, James Scott's had to park that car and get it towed home. And see further back here, there's a lot of people in a lot of trouble here just trying to limp around. We're not under safety car from what I can tell, but the guys...
yeah, the safety car's out.
We are under safety car, okay. That's interesting because my safety caution light did not come up.
Yeah, pretty much as soon as the track got blocked and there was about 4 or 5 cars, it automatically triggered the safety car.
Okay, so let's get a view of the cars affected here. We've got Tony Gaffer, can see a huge amount of damage on his car, and then Jamie McKnight also having a rough night. Daryl Hockey was involved in that, and as we saw, well, it's a cast of thousands really, isn't it?
Yeah, and what happens now, of course, is the pits is closed when the safety car's first pulled out, but all these guys at the back, if they're smart, they may as well just come into the pits. All it does is send them to the end of the line, but at least they'll get their car fixed.
Yeah, we saw one of the Redback boys come in. There's about 10 cars in there at the moment. Connor McCluskey Young, he's limping around, and he will come in once the pit's open. But what this is going to do, it's pretty much going to cost them that fast repair, isn't it?
Yeah, so they've, it's good and it's bad. I mean, if they didn't have one, they'd be out of the race completely. But they've got that. Now they just need to make sure they can keep their nose clean. But what it's also done, no doubt, is racked up a hell of a lot of incidents for some people. If we have a quick look, Brady Myers, who was right in the middle of it, he got more hits than Babe Ruth, I think. He's got there at 11 incidents already. David Miller's on 8, Jacob Knight on 8, Thomas McMillan, Mitch Campbell, they're all on 8 as well. So, 2 corners and they're right up there.
Yeah, we might cross to Daniel and get his view on it, hey?
Yeah, he would have had a good view of the car park.
Hi Daniel, Bernie here, RRTV Combox. Have you got time to have a chat?
Yeah, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate. How was that for the first corner? Did you manage to keep out of trouble? Looks like you got a bit of damage on the back of your car.
Yeah, kept out of the worst of it. Managed to pull it up before the block on the track, but a bit interesting starting from the chicane in this one.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Dan, that it was really after turn 3 for you that all hell broke loose, wasn't it? Because, of course, you had the chicane as turns 1 and 2 for your race tonight.
Yeah, definitely. It makes it a little interesting starting all the way back there, especially on that bit of a slope. It's hard not watching the car sort of roll back, but I know a lot of boys are probably complaining they wish this would restart after the issues, but I think it's still going to be a hard one to get through now.
Yeah, just out of interest, Dan, starting that far back, of course, with my tongue planted firmly in my cheek, are you going to be able to make it just on one stop with the extra distance that you have to race tonight?
I think we might be alright. We're sort of just riding the clutch where we can and roll it through the corners, but it's going to be tight. I think this is definitely going to help everyone to do it on the one stop now, though.
Well, I was just thinking, just because you were so far back, you're almost doing an extra lap than everyone else.
Yeah, well, I'm just sort of letting it roll. I think it might help save a little bit. I could pull in. Every bit of track position is always crucial, I guess.
Yeah, and of course, there's still the random safety car to come as well, so that's still going to play into strategy whether or not people are pitting or not.
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, even if you pit this early, you've still got to come in to take another stop anyway, so maybe they'll play the safety car game, which is going to be interesting. I haven't really been involved in it yet, so we'll see how we go, but I think all in all at the moment we're sitting pretty without too much drama, so we'll see how she goes.
Yeah, well, with the leaders are sort of coming around now. We've still got another lap after this under safety car.
It might be worth just taking that bit of tyre and fuel now and line up on the very back then.
Yeah, just make sure you turn your fast repair off if you don't need it, of course. But the beauty is you can sit in pits for about a minute or so whilst it does some repairs, and then still catch up to the field, no doubt.
Yeah, that's it. It probably gives you the advantage too of having a bit higher tyre pressure than everyone else while they're going so slow too, which could work to a bit of an advantage at the start if you can get around in time.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to pop back up the front here. It's just going to be interesting to see if any of these leaders come in. What do you think, Bernie?
Yeah, I think they may do, but we'll let Daniel get back to concentrating here. So thanks for having a chat with us, Daniel, and we might see you on the next safety car if there is one.
Yeah, no worries, mate. Have a good call. Thanks, Nick, for jumping up there to help, mate. Gonna have a bit of fun here on the track tonight, I think.
No dramas. Talk to you later, Dan.
Yep.
So yeah,
just looks like those that have got damage that are coming in so far.
Yeah, we'll have a look. We can see Dan there. He's pulling right off the track at the moment. There's, of course, it's going to be like peak hour and pit street, isn't it? We'll jump Daniel Leitz now coming in. Jump on the roof cam here and see what sort of carnage is in the pit lane. But I'll tell you what, folks, the people that have been affected by this is Mitchell Campbell. He's in the pits at the moment taking service, and you can just see all the cars there, just like a wrecking yard. We've also had Daniel Stevens. Looks like Daniel has so Daniel Stevens was affected. Mitchell Campbell, Thomas McMillan, James Scott have all been affected. We've also had Tony Gaffer involved. Brenton O'Brien, he's still in the pits trying to get his car sorted out. There's so many, isn't there? It's probably half the field.
Yeah, well, looking at the data here, I reckon I've got 22 cars that pitted.
Yeah, so that's just under half the field, isn't it? We had 50 cars start. I'm trying to see if we've got any retirements at the moment, and it's a bit hard to tell because my telemetry with this many cars struggles a bit.
Yeah, it does, but just quickly looking through from what I can see, I would say Brady Mayers seems to be the big loser here today. He was right up there in the championship, of course, and was one of the main cars that was involved. Marlon McMullen as well, is way down the list, and Riley Blythe. So actually, Ian Ford, he'll be sitting at home watching this on the broadcast, no doubt, sitting pretty happy because three of his main challengers are, Brady down in 26th, Marlon McMullen in 40th, and Riley Blythe 41st. And going from memory, they're 2nd, 3rd and 4th in the championship.
Yeah, it's a lot of carnage here, and it all really started, didn't it, when Mitchell Bales in the 17 and Brady Mayers came together. That put Brady up on the two wheels, which then all the cars have started piling into each other, and the only other time I've ever seen that happen would probably be remembering Bathurst many years ago. I think it was in the 80s when the track was blocked completely at the top of the mountain.
Yeah, actually, just looking, my data's playing funny games now. It's got Riley Blythe sitting in 2nd, Marlon McMullen in 4th. And Dane Warren, of course, is the other party who's up there in the championship standings. So, Joel, real timing just let me down a bit there. So, apologies to our viewers for that. It's still really what looked like originally is that Brady Mayers is the big loser out of all of this so far.
Yeah, definitely. And your top 10 before we go under restart here very shortly. Dane Warren will take the lead. Once the safety car's in, Riley Blythe 2nd, Jason Bentz 3rd, Marlon McMullen sitting in 4th, Brian Borg 5th, Michael Hammond will restart in 6th, followed by Thomas Hinds, and we've got Ethan Warren in 8th, Daniel Williams 9th, and rounding out your top 10 is Duran Nakora.
And they're coming around now, the field's bunching right up. Hopefully we'll get through this nice and safe. There's cars at the back that are still hustling around to catch up to the back tail end of the field.
Yeah, we can see at the moment Dane Warren's half in the pace car, and anyway, the pace car will come in. He's backing out a little bit now so he can get a good run here as they come out the chicane, waiting for the restart here. 19 laps remaining. We're under green once more, folks, and let's hope we can get this race going. But at the moment, Dane Warren is taking him in a little bit more cautious now, as Riley and Jason, followed by Marlon McMullen, they all start to file through single file.
Yeah, it makes a big difference having a single file restart, that you don't have those cars bottlenecking in to start with, and so far so good as they head down through Eau Rouge.
Yeah, there's a lot of the guys have got their nerves out, and they're looking forward to having a good race. As we can see, they're still streaming through.
No, we've got another incident coming down Eau Rouge. I think that might have been Gene Fittis that was involved in that.
Yeah, and Dave Oliver. Let's have a look from Dave Oliver here on the restart. Then, folks, we promise we will go straight to the front here and catch the action there, but there's just so much going on so deep in the field at the moment. So you can see as he comes through the hairpin here, coming down towards Eau Rouge, and that's when all hell breaks loose. There's a car ahead of him, and let's see, oh yeah, 3 wide into Eau Rouge, and that is, who was that into the wall heavily? Was that Brady Mayers again?
It was one of the PRA cars, but I didn't quite pick up which one it was, sorry. It looked like one of the cars in front got a pretty poor run out of turn 1, which sort of bottlenecked them up. Yeah. And then we had the PRA car, had a couple of wheels out on the grass, and it was pretty much game over from there.
Yeah.
And then secondary contactors. Once again, people need to learn to lift, don't they, when they see an accident in front of them, because that secondary incident looked like it was completely avoidable.
Yeah, they were getting pretty excited back there, weren't they? But up front, it's a different story. Well, they're excited. They're just driving with a bit more caution. But Dane Warren at the moment, he had 0.3 of a second lead last time by. It's going to be a lot bigger than that, probably 0.5. Riley Blythe at the moment, he has his hands full with Jason Benson. Likewise, Marlon McMullen is also putting the pressure on.
Yeah, great battle pack here developing. And that's...
We're just riding with Marlon now as he has a look on the inside there. One of the cars, I think that was Riley Blythe, locked brakes, but that won't affect his tyres too much because, of course, you can't flat spot them in iRacing.
No, not yet. One of the things that I think is on the development list to do.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be great when that comes in, although I think a lot of drivers won't like it so much, but we'll see how they adjust to it.
Yeah, look, Riley's he's got Jason Bentz right up his tail here as they come down to the chicane, and Jason around the outside. He's got the inside for this. They're still going side by side. Looks like Riley's going to come out just on top. But that's brought Marlon right up onto the tail of Jason as well.
Yeah, we're looking back through the, I guess you could call it the mirror cam. You can just see them all trying to get on the back of Riley. The other interesting thing by these different camera angles is how much they, just feathering these cars or finessing them. And it's something you don't really pick up on the normal race cameras, is it?
No, and there's so many long radius corners around here that it really is. If you go into the corners a bit too hot, it can have such a huge impact on the rest of your corner exit, and also the flow through a left right type sequences. So really important to get your entries here as well, and that's where you hear a lot of that feathering if people have made a bit of a mistake or just trying to get down that power nice and early.
You can see at the moment Jason and Marlon there, they're pretty much holding station. Let's go further down in the field and see if we can catch any action back here. And they're all quite spread out, aren't they?
Yeah, they've sort of looked after each other a bit better this time, and a lot of the field has spread out. They're probably also got half an eye on their incident counts, I'm guessing.
I'd say so. could see Matt Stratford out here sitting in 21st at the moment. He had his hands full, of course, last night in the Anscar Truck Series that was on RRTV, and ended up finishing 4th in that series. But it's great to see him out. We've also got Daniel Vassell back in 25th, and there's a bit more carnage. And also Daniel was in the trucks last night as well.
Oh, jumping from a truck into one of these around Spa is a bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is, but I tell you what, the guys put on a fantastic show once again. We can see also Daryl Hockey back here in 27th in the Pagnian simulation entry, and quite a bit of work for him to do at the moment.
Yeah, and just, we've got Jason just went a bit too deep under brakes there, and he's now lost out to, oops, I just have to scroll back. He was about to lose a position to Marlon, but he's managed to recover and keep that position. But he's got he's under a laser attack at the moment, isn't it, Marlon? He's got three of them all over him.
Yeah, well, he's got Brian Borg back there. He's got Michael Hammond all over him as well, and you could just see he went on the inside. Brian said, well, I'm going to go on the outside, and it started looking mighty interesting.
Yeah, I was just looking through as that happened that, we're only very early days in the race, but we've already had some big movers and shakers coming up through the field. We've got Matt Lepoidovan, who started 28th, is up to 15th, and Kyle Stokes, who started 35th, up to 16th. So those guys have, and then Matt Stratford, who started in 50th, who's moved up to 20th place as well. So there's some big movers that have making some nice early gains at others' expense.
Yeah, well, that's what you see, isn't it? When you get a lot of carnage like that, generally some of the smarter drivers, they benefit big time, and we've seen that once again tonight with Kyle Stokes.
Dare I say it, those are probably the drivers that actually lifted off and used their brakes when they saw an accident in front of them.
Yeah, quite possibly. We're looking at Marlon McMullen now. You can just see that big pink Sades Australia Falcon. He just wants to take a bite out of the back of Marlon's car here.
Yeah, it looks like Bence has got the pace over Marlon, because he dropped right back into his clutches and he's pulled a little bit of a gap. He's got Riley Blythe still a little bit further ahead, but Marlon under plenty of attack here from Borg at the moment, and he'll be desperately hanging out for some of his PSS teammates to help him out there, I would think, from this laser attack. Yeah,
he's feeling a bit ganged up on, doesn't he? We're riding with Brian Borg now. The other interesting thing about as they come down Kemmel Straight, they're absolutely benefiting from no tow whatsoever in these cars.
Yeah, and I haven't listened close enough, but I know the laser guys were running the 1.042 drop gear that we were talking about during qualifying, and if they're running that and they're sitting in a draft, they're probably going to be topping out and not really going to be in a position to make much of a move.
Okay, well it could be the case, because they're just pretty much holding station down Kemmel Straight, and I guess in other categories, like if you saw the skippies down there, those things slipstream like they got DRS, but Ethan Warren back here is also getting rather interested in the back of Thomas Hinds.
Yeah, and great drive by Thomas to be up there too, well inside the top 10, just as on a side note. He's been driving very well lately, hasn't he?
Yeah, he certainly has, and he's having another good race here tonight, and as you said, sitting comfortably, well, not comfortably, sitting in 7th at the moment, but Ethan's probably got other ideas on that.
Yeah, and also they're sitting in 10th place, just sort of running his own race at the moment, so not necessarily something exciting to look at, is Duran Nakora, who's, I think in the AOSC anyway, this is his second drive in the series with Proforce Racing. He's of course came out from the Wheelie Bins Republic, so pretty much a Bathurst specialist, but he's proving himself very handy both at Sonoma for the last round and here tonight at Spa.
And he's driving that beautiful retro livery there, isn't he? The old Wilson Security GJR livery, I think that one is.
Yeah, nice looking car, that one. Any DJR car is a nice looking car, of course, Bernie.
Yeah, I'll agree with that, that's for sure. And you can see them once again, folks, down to 14 laps here to go. Ethan Warren still riding on the back. We've got Michael Hammond now looking rather interested in the back of his teammate, Brian Ball.
Yeah, it's definitely the battle of the race, this one, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. There's another battle we'll go to very shortly, and that was very deep in the field. It was David Miller was having a battle with Connor McCluskey Young, but it looks like they may have, one of them might have come to grief back there.
Yeah, I think the other battle's probably for about 16th, 15th place, with Vargs leading the charge of Stokes, Lepoidovan, Trainer, and McKee, who are all within a second of each other there too, if we get a chance to duck down to 13th place, or sorry, 16th place.
Yeah, we're down there now, and I tell you what, it's a different story back here, isn't it? Look at the cars. A lot of them are carrying huge amounts of damage, and the Matt Lepoidovan here, well, he's driving the London Taxi, and then Cody Trainer, his car's just missing the front bonnet.
It's take no prisoners down here.
Yeah, you can see Chris Coxhead here also working the back, all three wide. Tell you what, they're racing for sheep stations. Big accident.
That happened. Who wasn't it? That was Lepoidovan, and who's the 15? Sorry, that's James McKee. So that's an unfortunate that with three wide going through there.
Yeah, we'll try and get a different angle of this. They sort of tripped over themselves, didn't they? But they did try going three wide at one point.
Yeah, I think in all honesty it was just one of those things. They all got a little bit excited with a lot of cars on a small amount of territory, and that's what happened. But the battle still goes on. I'm looking at Chris Coxhead here, who's just run himself wide at Blanchimont, involved in another battle as well. But perfect timing to pick up that battle for 15th there, Bernie. Well done.
Yeah, it certainly was, and we fluked that one, but it looked like it all started when Lepoidovan and the 51, it looked like they had a bit of net code which put Lepoidovan across the road. That's how I saw it anyway.
Yeah, just quickly looking at that slow-mo, of course, I'm not replaying on the screen here. I was just looking there. It looked like Matt sort of, for whatever reason, moved over to the right, and that's what triggered the incident.
Yeah, looking in that slow-mo, it just looked like there was almost like net code contact which threw his car across the road and into the other car. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe the viewers might be able to let us know what they think happened there.
I'm just looking at Chris Coxhead again, sorry, and he's having a bit of trouble at the moment. He was running wide at Blanchimont a minute ago, now he's just come off track again. So not too sure if he's got a problem with his car or not.
Yeah, he's just pulled over to let, I think that might have been Kyle Stokes. It was, and the 888 let him through, so he might just be feeling that car out. We'll jump on and have a look at his steering, see if we can pick up anything there. And he's running wide again. Yeah, I think he's got some sort of damage. You can just see him there trying to just nurse the car. But, oh yeah, under brakes again. I don't know if he's over-driving it, Nick, or he's got some sort of problem with the handling of this thing.
You'd think there's a problem more than anything, because he's a better driver than that. So he must be battling something wrong.
Yeah, he's wide again there. You could just see him on the wheel there, just trying to get the thing to turn in, and it just did not want to turn in, which could explain why he's running so wide, and he knows he's in trouble because he stepped aside and let Kyle come through.
Yeah, and just going back, we spoke early in the race about Brady Mayers being the big loser in the opening lap battles, and he's now actually gone over the incident limit as well, so he's officially out of the race.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. He was involved in a few big ones there, and we can just see that what's left of his car in the pit lane. Of course, he'll be auctioning that off at the end of tonight, that's for sure. But we can see now Thomas Hinds still under pressure here from Ethan Warren. Ethan's been working the back of him. He just can't make that move.
Yeah, and meantime too, the laser cars have come into the pits, or Benson Hammond have as well anyway, as the cars start their pit stop cycle.
Yeah, that's right. With all the commotion earlier on, I totally forgot about the pit stop strategy. The other question I've got for you, Nick, is with the random safety car, are we still going to expect to see that after that big commotion, or does that get cancelled because of the first safety car?
No, the safety car, the random car still should come out.
Okay, so that's going to add another interesting turn to tonight's event, that's for sure. And you can just see now Ethan Warren is still working on the back of him. My telemetry though, it's going absolutely bonkers here. I've got white and yellow all over the place.
Yeah, I'm just using the in-game one at the moment, so just to try and keep up with exactly what is going on.
See Brenton O'Brien out here sitting in 38th, and he's got that look about his car like so many of them do, and that's probably bent from the front bumper to what used to be a rear bumper, but they still handle, with all that stuff hanging off them.
And just, Dane Warren and Riley Hythe, a bloke in the pits, and Marlon and Brian Borg and Ethan Warren and Daniel Williams. So everyone's coming into the pits now.
Yeah, we'll try and get a decent view here. We can see them now all coming in. Quite a lot of them are coming in, aren't they? And we'll see who's the winner and who's the loser here. We can see Riley just pulling in now, Brian Borg right behind him, and I think Ethan Warren. Where's Ethan? No, he's not in there. We've also got Duran Nakora, so they've all followed each other in.
Let's see who used the least amount of fuel. So Dane Warren's out. Some Riley. Looks like Dane had a pretty good stop. Marlon there, just in front of Brian Borg, and then the two Rat Corp, the two All-Star cars were very close.
Yeah, so we can see them now. That's Daniel Williams and I think it's Ethan Warren, both there. It'll be interesting to see now where Thomas Hinds comes out when he pits, because Ethan will want to have made a good stop here. His stop 17.9 seconds, a little bit slow, but we'll see if he can actually jump Thomas.
And it looks like Brian Borg's actually made the move here and got past Marlon at the end of Camel Straight in Jason Bentz's draft.
Let's have a quick look at that
Sorry,
replay.
Michael Hammond's draft. Apologies.
So we're just having a look at the replay here, and he went around the outside, but I tell you what, Marlon was pushing the issue there a little bit, wasn't he?
He was indeed.
So now they're closed up once again, and that's Hammond, Borg and McMullen. If we look where Riley Blythe is, well, he's starting to lap traffic, and he's got a massive gap on these guys now.
As the safety car comes out.
Yeah, so this is going to be interesting. Where's Thomas Hinds? He did not get back in time. He was just about there at the chicane, so that's going to hurt him a fair bit, isn't it? Because
that's almost effectively going to send him to the back of the field. So that's a massive loss for Thomas Hinds.
Yeah, so the cars that have not pitted and are going to go back to the longest line is Thomas Hinds. Michael Tellenjack also rolled the dice. It did not work for him. Stephen Varga and Cody Traynor back here in 4th and 5th. they will also go back a long way. The other driver affected, of course, is Josh Morgan here in that beautifully presented Holden, and he's also going to learn to possibly be a bit cautious on the pits. And Jonathan Ben, he will also be affected by this, as will Matt Leperdovan.
Yeah, well, Josh Morgan, of course, we mentioned him early on, who's in the Dingo Racing, making their first race here in the series tonight. So they've probably got a little bit to learn when it comes to safety cars, and then also once the endurance races come on as well.
Yeah, it's a very steep learning curve, these V8 supercars at the top level of racing, that's for sure. But one thing I will commend them on is that their car is absolutely immaculately turned out, and whoever's done the job on that car, they should be very proud.
Yeah, their cars look fantastic.
Also love the name, Dingo Racing. That is a good Aussie team name.
It is a fantastic name, isn't it? Surprised that I'm not too sure what the history of those guys is. And, no doubt they race more than V8s, but this is the first time I've ever come across them. But yeah, it's amazing that the name hasn't been snaffled up a hell of a lot earlier.
Oh, exactly right. But I tell you what, folks, if you're after a great name, I think Koala Racing might still be available, or Emu Racing.
Oh yeah, emu or kangaroos. Can't say I've seen too many of them.
No, you could call it Roo Racing.
Yeah, Roo Racing. I was thinking it would be better.
Yeah,
Drop Bear Racing.
Drop Bear Racing. Yeah. So one of the viewers is asking when the next Enduro's coming up on the AOSC.
Ooh, well, there's the series. It's actually not until, I don't think, until the end of next month. It's almost about 5 or 6 weeks, because we're in the middle of the V8 Scops endurance season. Then there's also the official Bathurst 1000. So there's a bit of a break in the AOSC endurance series, sort of, to give people a bit of a break, a bit of a breather.
Yeah, because as you said, the V8 Scops is right in the middle of their Enduro. Well, they've just started it really last week, I think was the first round, but that's going to be a fantastic series to watch. And of course the Bathurst 1000 endurance race, no doubt that'll be on V8s Online and iRacing Live, and I highly recommend you guys tune into that, because it's going to be an awesome race.
Yeah, so we had their Phillip Island last week. They've got Bathurst next week, and then 2 weeks after that is the official Bathurst, and then there's the final Scops Enduro at Road Atlanta from memory as well. So that's the reason why there's a long break in our schedule before having another endurance race, just so people can have a bit of a break from it.
Yeah, and I noticed they've also adopted the AOSC random safety car by the looks of it as well.
Yeah, they did have one. I think from memory in previous Bathursts they've had a random safety car, so I don't know if it's necessarily something new for this year, but yeah, it was definitely there at Phillip Island, although there was a massive pile up on lap 1 after I was watching, and I was surprised there was no safety car for that.
Yeah, I had a quick look at it. I didn't watch all of it, of course, because I had other commitments, but you can see now, of course, the guys are coming into the pits, and Thomas is staying out. Now, the question is, can he actually... No, is he staying out? Where is he?
Thomas, he's pitted.
Okay, well that ruins my question. Yeah, he's coming out now. He's going to slot back in. He's in 22nd, 23rd, 18th. It's all over the place here at the moment. He's not as bad as I thought. He's just going to slot in around about, where is it? 22nd position.
Yeah, I'll leave that to you, because one of the things that's got me, it's this whole messy safety car business that really, I believe the pits we should have an option for the pits to remain open all the time as soon as the safety car comes out. And now you've got that scenario where you've got people leaving the pits and feeding back halfway into the line.
Yeah, we've got a car stopped up here as well. I think it's Matt Stratford sitting idle at the moment up at Camel Straight. It is Matt Stratford, and that car's not going anywhere.
And he potentially is victim to some bizarre black flag for whatever reason. He may have, it's no doubt he's been told to let a certain car through unless he was in the pits when the safety car came out, and it's given him the end of the line penalty. Of course, that's another issue, isn't it? As the race administrators have got no idea of what black flags, iRacing black flags, get issued for.
Yeah, well, that's right. It's a random thing, but he's got behind him Brenton O'Brien at the moment. So, but he has gone to the end of the line now. He's coming back up through the field, probably to try to resume his position. You can just see him now working his way. So that's a very bizarre one, that.
Yeah, and I think iRacing there's so much league racing on these days that iRacing really need to sort this out and give leagues and people that host sessions a fair bit more control over what are some of these ridiculous goings on that happens. And it's just frustrating. It's frustrating for us as administrators of the series. It's frustrating for the competitors, and it's frustrating for the spectators.
Yeah, it'd be frustrating for the drivers too, no doubt. You can see Matt now, he's nearly come together with a few guys who didn't see him coming, because of course they're slow and he's driving like he's playing Need for Speed in peak hour, which of course he's trying to get back to where he should be, right up the front there, and he'll get there. But yeah, you're right, they need to, one, I think, give better control to the leagues, but I think two, they need to issue proper road racing rules, because a lot of the time I think we're still under the standard rules, which is probably more suited for the NASCAR style racing.
Yeah, and I don't know, I'm no professional coder or anything, but to me it seems pretty simple, as that there's lots of options that you have when you host a session. Just having a ticker box of pit lane remains open shouldn't be too difficult, you wouldn't think.
Yeah, that's right. It's just a matter of how that variable can be set without affecting the pit lane or the intelligence or whatever's behind it. But speaking of intelligence, we've got the Porsche safety car in, and Dane Warren's off again, and we've got Riley Blythe now right behind him. Brian Borg, he's looking on the outside of Michael Hammond, and they're going to go too wide into this, and Brian Borg got held out to dry there.
Yeah, and it's another problem here too, is that of course once the flag goes green, it's racing straight away no matter where you are. It's not like there's a control line that you have to pass. Yeah,
that's right, it's go on green pretty much, isn't it?
Yeah. So we've got another bit of a bingle up at the back at turn 1 as well there.
Yeah, and we saw just ahead of us Riley Blythe, he ran really wide. Michael Hammond is now going to go on the outside of him. Brian's just lifting to let this sort out. Michael Hammond's got him, and Riley's backed right off, and maybe he got a slowdown penalty.
Yeah, I didn't see where he ran through Eau Rouge to know whether or not he was wide enough, but the interesting thing here, I think, was Mike Hammond was the it's a bit unfair to say the slowest of the laser drivers in qualifying, because he still qualified 5th or 6th or something, and he's the one taking it right up there. He got a little bit of a tickle up there from Riley that unsettled his car, but he managed to pull it back under control.
Yeah, now he's under the laser attack again as Brian Borg shows the nose on the ERT driver here, and Riley's got his hands full all of a sudden. They're all swarming him. Marlon McMullen, well, he wants to have a crack at this as well.
Now, I didn't see what happened to Jason Bensel. We've got another car in the wall. I think that's one of the Dingo Racing cars.
That's no good at all. We'll jump back and have a look very shortly. I'm just keeping an eye on this battle up front here because they're going at it at the moment. Of course, we've got 8 laps remaining, so we're down to the business end. It's running to the end of the race now, folks. No more safety cars or pit stops, so it's all hats are off, or is it bets? I don't know.
Yeah. Now, the other thing I'm not too sure about is what happened to Jason Bentz in that restart. I heard a bit of chatter over the radio, and we've got another incident down. Gene Fittis involved, and not too sure who else. Sorry, my screen just flicks so quickly between so many different incidences that are happening here.
Yeah, well, Jason's in the pits. So
he must have had an incident at the restart.
I'll see if we can work out. I wonder if he's gone over his incident limit.
I'll double check on that, and I'm sure if Dan was in the box, he'd probably be all over this.
Yeah, I might get you to check that, because I reckon he's gone over his incident limit and has had to park it.
No, he hasn't done that. He's only at 15 incidents, so he's got plenty of room left.
Okay, we'll see if we can get to the bottom of this. If any of the viewers out there know what's happened to Jason, just put it in our chat channel so we can let the rest of the viewers know. But at the moment, Ethan Warren, he's now starting to work on the back of Marlon McMullen. Ethan's having an awesome drive. I wonder if he's related to Dane Warren.
They are brothers, I believe, because there was one of the Enduros when Ethan was filling in for Dane.
Okay.
Or was it at Sonoma, I think Ethan was driving one of the cars instead of Dane.
Yeah, so now Riley Blythe's having a look on the inside of Michael Hammond. Hammond's been hit and going very wide there. He might have steering damage. He's coming straight back on
But
where
he
went off.
Here.
Yeah, he's not lifting. He's going. Oh, they're hit again, and that's going to send him around in front of Marlon. And the gloves are off now, I tell you.
And that, of course, has allowed Brian to sneak through and onto the tail of Riley now.
Yeah, and that was 2 hits by those two. Riley, that was the first one that sent Marlon around. He saved it, and then he came back and got another whack for his trouble. But you can see now Borg is all over the back of Riley Blythe. Marlon McMullen is also smelling blood here, and he's having a crack at Hammond.
This battle, all race has been fantastic, hasn't it? Oh, what happened there?
That was the 17. I saw him going across the track. Was that the 17 over there?
I didn't even see where he came from.
Oh, he went off and he came skidding across the track towards the... let's jump back and have a look. See if we can work this out.
So he was further back.
Yeah,
and had a bit of contact, and it sent him straight across that he missed the chicane completely, but straight into Hammond. How unlucky was that? And what effectively it's done, it's actually given him 3 or 4 places he's picked up.
Yeah, I wonder if he'll get a cut track for that. That was during Nakora, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Sorry folks, we're just trying to get to the bottom of this and then we'll get back to the action. We still haven't got to the bottom of the Jason Bentz incident here. So Duran was battling. I'm trying to get, that's Muggleton behind him.
Yeah, Duran was a passenger once his car got sideways on the grass, and very unfortunate for Mike Hammond because he would have had no idea what was happening. He turned in, he was clear all around him, and all of a sudden this car, well, as I say, Hammond got Courtneyed. Like what happened what happened to Courtney at Phillip Island a few years ago when he got smashed he got T-boned.
Yeah, it was the same thing too because Duran actually got air the same way Courtney got Courtney. But I tell you what, Michael Hammond, that would be a lap he'd want to forget about. He's had 3 hits in the space of half a lap. If he was a musician, of course, he'd be very happy with that, but not as a racing driver.
Yeah, and just look, a real unfortunate way. I'm not too sure it's effectively ended the battle that he was in, which was fantastic watching for us.
Yeah, it certainly was, and they're spread out a bit now. I'm just going back to see if I can work out this mystery of what's happened to Jason Bentz. So I'm just having a look through here. There's nothing on the telemetry here that suggests he's had any sort of incident or off-track incident anyway.
No, it was a pretty hard hit to the side, and it almost pointed him straight into pit lane.
Okay. So looking at our top 10, folks, we've got 5 laps remaining here. We've got Dane Warren leading. 5 seconds is the gap. He's out there once again. Brian Borg's third, chasing down Riley Blythe. Then we've got Marlon McMullen in 4th position. He's missing the rear wing of that car as well. Ethan Warren in 5th, he's missing the front, so I suggest those two have come together. Daniel Williams in 6th, 7th Matt Muggleton, 8th Duran Nakora, 9th Nathan Tregarthen, and rounding out your top 10 is Mark Samuel. Joe just jumped back to have a look at this, and David Kinmond and Jamie McKnight, they were getting it on here, and who was it? Nick Cummings had it all sideways.
Yeah, sorry Bernie, I'm just sort of scrolling through here to see what's going on, and I'm catching back up at the front. Let's see, I think Marlon and Ethan, I'm not too sure if they were also copped some contact from the Nakora Hammond coming together, but they were in the same boat as Hammond when that happened. They would have just turning in and concentrating on the battle of the 3 of them, and all of a sudden the car comes completely out of left field to clean them up.
Yeah, it was a bit of a lucky dip, wasn't it, or an unlucky dip on who was going to get collected there, but Duran really, he got turned there by Matt Muggleton, and he was really a passenger, because once you get on the grass and these things, there's no pulling them up.
Yeah, look, it was terrible luck. I mean, it was a great battle those guys were having, and it's just such a pity to see it end in a way that I'm sure Duran didn't want to see that happen. But yeah, he was just a passenger, and he would have seen Hammond looming larger and larger, and of course Mike would have just turning into the corner and having no idea what was waiting for him on the other side.
Yeah, exactly, and your field of view, if you're running a single monitor, your field of view is very narrow. I sort of look on it like a horse being blinkered. You can't see much, but even if you're on a triple monitors, you wouldn't have seen that coming.
No, and he probably copped the hit, and then his spotter said, "Car on your right."
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, so they're spread out quite a bit up the front here. We're looking back at Daniel Williams and Matt Muggleton here, and Duran Nakora. They're coming to have a bit of a battle, as well as Nathan Tregarthen. Haven't seen much of Nathan tonight in the Pagnian entry, but he's sitting up there in 9th position at the moment and looking quite strong. And it's one of the straighter cars out there tonight.
Yeah, it's been a great drive by him, but what about the car in the position behind him? Mark Samuel started 50th.
Wow, 40 positions, and sitting in the top 10. And how long was this race? 23 laps?
21 laps.
So that's what we were saying before about drivers capitalising on these big event races, and this is a fantastic example of that.
Yeah, it is indeed, but I'll tell you what, it's all Dane Warren out front as well, isn't it? He's been the class of the field tonight.
Oh yeah, when he gets his head down and he gets out front like this, no one seems to be able to catch him. He just goes.
Yeah, he's very quick and very consistent. But yeah, he's been flawless pretty much all night. But to me, I'll tell you what, the great drives for tonight, for me, I think it hasn't ended that way, but I mean, the laser guys have been quick, and they're quick drivers, but they were all on fire here tonight, and at one stage you were expecting all three of them to finish within the top six, I think, but you know, something obviously happened to Jason, and Mike was unfortunate, but they've still got Borgie up there in third place. He's only second behind Riley and 7/10 in front of Marlon, so he's looking fairly comfortable there for a podium.
Yeah, one of the viewers was asking, this is a good question for you, Nick. He wants to know, when the V8 loses that rear wing, rear boot lid, does it affect the handling of these cars a lot?
Nah, and that's a pity it doesn't, because the cars sometimes actually, I've been behind a car with no rear boot, a bit like what Marlon is at the moment, obviously, and it actually it seems to have an effect on the drag, insofar as the rear wing obviously causes drag, which slows you in a straight line. So the cars actually almost seem to be faster in a straight line because it recognises there's less drag, but it still doesn't affect the rear handling at all. I mean, you've still got just as much grip. Unless someone tells Marlon, he probably doesn't even know he doesn't have a rear wing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the problem is they've got the drag coefficient right, but they've probably got a problem with in the downforce calculations on these cars, because in all seriousness, without that wing at these speeds, these cars shouldn't be cornering the way they do.
Well, yeah, you couldn't go through Eau Rouge or around Blanchimont here like they do without a rear wing.
Yeah, we'll jump on here as he goes down through Eau Rouge, and get you a bit of an idea about his top end speed as well, because this might prove your theory about it going faster when he gets onto Camel Straight. We'll see if he can actually start pulling in to the back of Brian Borgie.
Yeah, it looks like he's, what's their last lap times? It looked like he put in a pretty good lap time. Oh, no, I thought it looked like he'd closed the gap on Brian there, but Brian was still actually a little bit quicker than him in that last lap.
Yeah, so he's coming up through here, through Eau Rouge there, 6th gear. Yep, there's no problem with the rear end there. Now he's starting to close in on Brian Borg down Camel Straight. He's peaking out. His top end speed, you can follow along here, folks, is 272 kilometres an hour. And yeah, he pulled about 3 car lengths in just on Camel Straight there.
Yeah, so some of that would have been with the draft, obviously, but he should have been in the wall at Eau Rouge with no rear wing.
Well, he should have been, and that's what one of the viewers was saying. It's quite unrealistic, and yeah, I have to agree with you. It is. Hopefully, it'll get sorted out at some point. But now, during the Cora, he's coming under fire here, 3 wide. We've got Nathan Tregarth and during the Cora, Mark Samuels going at it now with 2 laps remaining.
Yeah, this is the battle for now, isn't it? And just behind them, a little bit further, is who's that? That's Matt Stratford and Chris Coxhead as well. But Poyder's got past Duran for now, and then Mark Samuel, of course, who's only made up 40 odd places. He's looking to make up another one. He's a bit greedy, isn't he?
Certainly is. Yeah, and Edward was saying he finds that problem with these cars odd, because the trucks and the stock cars, they get very loose if you get rear end damage. So it's one of those things we've been commenting on for quite a while in the V8 supercars, but it hasn't been addressed as yet.
Yeah, and if you get you get some front end damage on these, and you can, like down Camel Straight, you can be down 20-30 kilometres an hour on your top speed if you've got too much front end damage. So they've got that front end bit right. As Mark Samuel, he's on the wrong side here as they come into the final chicane. But Duran's looking a bit wounded as Matt Stratford there caught right up as well. So he's going to be having a nibble probably as they get down to the end of Camel as well.
Yeah, and Matt he spun his wheels up a bit there, but you can see now Duran is going defensive here. He's forcing Mark's hand to have to go wide, and of course, as you were saying, that's pushing Mark back towards Matt Stratford, which is exactly what Duran would love, because it's going to give him a bit of a rest.
Yeah, I mean, he had the rear end a little bit loose on the brakes end and also a little bit squirrely out of the corner. Looks okay coming through here, but let's see what happens down the straight. Mark's got a pretty good run.
It's just like what Duran's doing. He's positioning the car on the inside, which is his right, and he's forcing Mark to go wide. This time Mark got the slingshot and made that move, but Duran didn't make it easy for him, and nor should he, because they're battling here for position. Now Matt Stratford's going to have a go.
And you think Matt will... I would expect Matt to be passed before they get to Blanchimont, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we're down to the last lap now, so he's going to want to make that move. If we jump up the front here, we can see Dane Warren leading at the moment. Riley Blythe has closed in on him, but it's not going to be enough to take the win here tonight.
Just a classy drive by Dane Warren tonight. He's class of the field and had everyone's measure. Probably relatively easy, if you can say that way.
And looking back here, you can see Matt Stratford now. He's having another look, and he's gonna be interesting. But let's jump back to our leader, Dane Warren, now, as he's coming down through Blanchimont for the final time here tonight, folks, into the chicane, not far now, and a well-earned win. 20 laps raced here, and he's led for 19 of them. Just see him hanging it out there to take the checkered flag for round 8. The Spa 150 goes to Dane Warren.
Duran. Sorry.
You jumped in. You're spoiling my. Duran. What's he doing? He's doing the same thing again.
Almost. He got a bit loose coming around Blanchimont and got a little tap from Stratty, but nothing really that Stratty did wrong. It's just that Duran got out of shape and almost had another repeat of what happened with him and Hammond.
Yeah, he's going to be having nightmares about this part of the circuit, isn't he?
Yeah, so sorry, I just had to jump in there, but it got a bit exciting.
Yeah, we're just having a look at the replay now. Yeah, it snapped over, didn't it? And Matt Stratford got into the side of him, but by then Duran was all out of control, and he's done the old, let's see if I can run into Matt Stratford trick, but this time he missed. Not that he was trying to do it on purpose, of course.
No.
So we can see the burnouts have started, folks. Daniel Vassell here, letting it all hang out, and of course we see him normally in the trucks, and he's in the V8s as well, which is great to see. And where's Ethan Warren? Well, he's still going around with his teammate there.
Yeah, just quickly just apologise to Stratty there. He, of course, when I first saw it, I thought that Duran got sideways and Matt actually hit him, but Duran was well out of shape, and if anything, Matt actually probably went more close to straightening him up.
Yeah, I think he did, because if Matt wasn't there, he would have gone into the wall pretty hard, and that would have been the end of his race. So, yeah, it was one of those snaps, wasn't it? The car sort of snaps to the right. You can see Josh Morgan here from Dingo Racing celebrating his debut run in this series tonight, and no doubt he's enjoyed himself.
Yeah, good job. Stuck it through to the end. Well done.
And Dane Warren now, he's lost the front bonnet of his car. I guess, you know, the old saying is you don't need these tyres, but I'm not sure if they haven't told him that he's got to they need the panels back on this car.
Yeah. And the other thing too with this race, I think there's probably going to be a little while before we get all the official results, to be honest with you, because I'm sure there'll be some incidents that race control will have to review over the next few days.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be, there's more contact down here. Who's that? The Wreck Corp boys have decided they're going to wreck their cars. Maybe they should call them Wreck Corps or something.
Well, they might have to be careful, they don't get too many incidents up.
Yeah, well, they probably don't think that, do they? Because they're running into each other. Oh, and there goes an engine. Dane's just blowing his engine to underline the celebrations here. See Brian Borg now celebrating his finish. It says it's got him classified as 30th. I don't think he was 30th somehow. Alright folks, let's go through the final results while we see Brian Borg light them up here. So you can see where your favourite driver has finished. Then Nick, we've got the hard job of having to pick driver of the night because they get a bonus entry from the RRTV Combox. But let's have a look at the final results, folks. So Dane Warren finished in first position. He led pretty much start to finish apart from one lap. Riley Blythe comes home in second. Brian Borg third, followed by Mullen in fourth. Ethan Warren up 3 positions in fifth. Daniel Williams home in sixth. Matt Muggleton up 9 positions in seventh. Mark Samuel, he's up 10 positions from where he started to come home in eighth. Nathan Tregarthen finishes in ninth. Matt Stratford, driver of the night so far, up 40 positions to come home in 10th. 18 positions up was Chris Coxhead, and he comes home in 11th. Duran Nakora, he finishes in 12th position.
Then we've got David Kinmond in 13th, Jamie McKnight 14th, Kyle Stokes, he moved up 20 places to 15th, Mitchell Bales, he's 16th, Daniel Vassal, he came in at 17th, Thomas McMillan 18th, Darryl Hockey 19th, Matt Lepoidovan 20th, Daniel Stevens 21st, Jonathan Bean 22nd, Gene Fittis 23rd, and Brenton O'Brien in 24th.
Home in 25th tonight was Simon Mazzomo, up 19 positions from where he started. David Miller comes home in 26th. Daniel Leet, great drive there, up 18 positions to come home in 27th. Connor McCluskey dropped 11 positions to finish 28th. Simon Pitt home in 29th. Josh Morgan finishes in 30th. 31st was Troy Allen, followed by Nick Cummings. Cody Traynor comes home in 33rd, with Michael Hammond dropping 28 positions to finish 34th. Thomas Hines also dropped 28 positions to finish in 35th, and in 36th is Paul Preston.
And now we're into the DNFs really down here with Jason Bentz classified 37th, Tony Gaffer 38th, Michael Tilijanich 39th, Stephen Varga 40th, James McKee 41, and the rest of the drivers will be unclassified as they didn't complete 50%, but we'll run through them anyway. That's Mitch Campbell, Jake Maloney, Brady Mayers, Colin Bruns, Wayne Pengilly, Kyle Sloggett, Wayne Pickering, Jacob Knight, Mark Turner, Dave Oliver, James Scott,
Yep.
and me.
Yeah. So the biggest mover tonight, folks, that was Matt Stratford. The biggest shaker, of course, was Jason Bentz, who unfortunately retired. He apparently had a coming together with someone, and pretty hard coming together too by the sounds of it, so that ended his night. But I guess we should get to some interviews. We've got Riley Blythe down there and Brian Borg, so let's bring Riley up and we'll have a bit of a chat with him.
Sounds good.
Now my overlays are all wrong. He came second, didn't he?
Correct, yep.
Yeah, it's got him as winning.
Yeah, big Q.
Riley, welcome, mate. Well done. Second position tonight, but I tell you what, you were coming under a lot of attack there tonight by the Laser boys. They were really giving you a few headaches.
Yeah, hey guys, second basically was the best I think I could have gotten Like, I may have been 200ths off Dane in qualifying, but I was like, oh, race pace, we'll see. And I tried to keep up with him. He just drove off. So, and then after the second safety car, actually after both safety cars, I got a bit of a grilling from behind from the laser guys, which kept me on my toes. And that's how races become fun. So, honestly, I really enjoyed that. And I was talking to Borgie down in the green room, and yeah, we were just having a good chat about how about our battle, and yeah, everything was good. That's a race I cannot complain about in any sense.
Yeah, it looked like it was a lot of fun out there and some very intense battle. Lots of little bit of tapping, a little bit of knocking, but it didn't look like there was anything that was too difficult to upset the cars too much. But yeah, there was the four cars at a lot of the times in very close proximity. It made for great viewing, and I'm sure it was stressful in the cockpit, but you would have had a pretty big smile on your face at the same time.
Exactly, Nick. It was pretty awesome. Like the bumping, it was all like, you know, again, not enough to unsettle the car, and just a product of how hard we were trying not to let each other past. So, you know, when you put that much effort into it, anything, it becomes pretty fun, and that's how I felt about that battle, and it was just all around good fun. Those safety cars do spice up the races a lot, and I'm very thankful they're there.
Yeah, and you were probably the other thing you've got to be thankful about is starting on the front couple of rows of the grid that avoided all that carnage just behind you as on lap 1 coming down through Eau Rouge.
Oh, I heard about it. I haven't actually seen it myself. I didn't actually see it. I was just too busy focusing ahead, but apparently it was pretty messy. But that was my plan in qualifying, was just like, I got out of the way, as far out of the way of other cars as I could, and I just did one lap. That was it, because I knew the track will be clean, and I've got clear air around me. I can just put in a good lap, and I'll just roll with where it puts me. And it managed to put me on the front row, which I had a little bit of hope out for, seeing as I've been typically fairly quick at Spa, but it's always a nice surprise when you put a car up there.
Yeah, and just the other thing I'm guessing that'll bring a smile to your face is that with no Ian Ford here tonight, and Brady Mayers having a very unlucky race, is that you've gained a lot of positions or a lot of room in the championship now as well.
Yeah, that was a. Hence, I didn't push too hard to try and catch Dane. I was just trying my best to get the maximum position I could for points, because I needed to capitalize on that. As soon as I heard Brady was out, or at least way down the field, I was like, okay, this is a point for me to capitalize, and I finished ahead of Marlon as well, which helps. So, all in all, as a points day, very, very good.
All right, that's covered off me, I think, Bernie. I'll hand it over to you for any questions.
Yeah, the only question I've got for you, Riley, is what happened to Ian? Did you tie him up and tell him he couldn't turn up or something tonight?
No. No, I think he's just got some other work commitments or something along those lines on tonight, and he's just prioritized his work life over a video game race for a night. So, you know, like, that's, I can't blame him for that, and hey, it gets me closer to him in the points, so I'm not going to complain.
No, not at all. I was alluding to whether if I go down to the change rooms, if we find him locked in some locker down there, banging, trying to get out, but sounds like that's not the case. But Riley, before we let you go, mate, do you want to give a shout out to all your sponsors?
Absolutely. Logitech D, fantastic. They've been just legends for us. Dual Real Timing becoming almost a must-have for iRacing in terms of tools. It's just becoming all-powerful, and I'm loving it. And GTI, really good upgrade springs for any Logitech G-Series pedals. Also fantastic. This just brings Logitech pedals up to a new level. It's really nice.
Yeah, it certainly does. That's what I used when I had my Logitech pedals. But anyway, Riley, thanks for dropping by. Congratulations, great drive tonight, and capitalising a lot of the points. So that's definitely going to make things interesting in the next coming rounds.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Riley. And while you grab the next one up, Bernie, I'll just emphasise what Riley says about Joel real timing as well. For people that are out there that are looking for a useful tool to help them in their racing, it is fantastic. I mean, just even for one feature alone where it calculates your fuel and how much fuel you need left to finish the race, you can map it to a button and you just press that button and it automatically updates your pit stop to say that's how much fuel you're going to put in.
Yeah, it's an amazing tool, and we'll be using that very shortly as well on our broadcasts to bring you live telemetry, because it also allows us to be able to set up a remote server and send the telemetry live to that, where you folks will be able to jump in and have a look at it. But let's bring Brian Borg up. Now, where did Brian finish? The telemetry's telling me 30th, but I think he was about third.
He finished third in the end.
Okay, and I'm going to let you start this interview. I might even let you do the whole interview, Nick.
Okay, no worries. G'day, Borgie. How are you, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, Nick. How are you?
Pretty good. Fantastic effort. Not only for you tonight, but the whole team came here on absolute fire in qualifying and in the race. Very unfortunate what happened to Mike Hammond. Didn't quite see what happened to Jason Bentz, but at one stage I was saying to Bernie, it was looking like all three of you were heading for top 6 finishes, which would have been a great result for the team. As it turns out, a great result for you tonight. Tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, it was just a surprise, really. I had no practice before tonight, and the whole cars were just on fire. Good setup. Haven't just done little tweaks here and there. What happened to Jason Bentz was he had a pit lane penalty. He got a new steering wheel, so couldn't find the button, and that's what happened to him. And unfortunately, what happened to Mikey.
We couldn't quite pick up what happened to Jason. We of course saw what happened to Mike, which was just, that's the kind of thing that happens when you've just run out of all luck, isn't it? What happened to him? Nothing that he could do about it, nothing that Duran could have really done about it, and it was just, when things aren't going your way, that's what happens.
Yeah, well, that's racing, and that's the way it goes. Awesome track to have these cars around, and if you're out of that draft, you're really just in a race by yourself, I reckon.
Yeah, just I thought the interesting part of the race was just before the safety car came out on lap 11 or 12, I think it was, and I think Mike must have pitted early, and he came out, just going from memory, it was just in front of Riley Blythe, and you were right on his tail and managed to sort of get down round the outside of him down Camel Straight. It was a very exciting piece of driving, and the battle that you guys were all having, you, Mike, Marlon and Riley, was a real highlight of the race from our point of view. How was it from the cockpit?
Yeah, so Mikey did pit that lap earlier, and he got the undercut on me and Marlon, and Mikey done the move on Marlon going up the hill, and I just sat back and got my run, and around the outside. Always good racing with Marlon, can trust his racing skills, so it was very interesting for me.
Yeah, and sorry, I think I said Riley, of course, apologies, it was Marlon, but fantastic battle that you guys were having. There was no quarter given and none asked by the look of it. Little bits of bangs and bumps every now and then, but all pretty clean in the end, and probably in some ways seconds from disaster, but respect shown and given, and ended up in a great battle.
Yeah, mate. It was awesome racing, but I gotta give a big shout out to you and Bernie, and what you do, and Nick, mate. This racing, this series has just grown from leaps and bounds. So great effort from you guys, man.
Thanks, Borgie. We enjoy it when things work. We don't enjoy it when we have issues like servers and the like that we had earlier, but we thank everyone for hanging around and getting through that and making the night a bit later than normal.
Yeah, mate, all understandable. We got through, so that's the main thing.
Okay, thanks, mate. Just before we send you back down and get Dan up here, do you want to give us a shout out to any of your sponsors?
Yeah, just a shout out to Sades for their sponsorship with us, and always with Laser Racing. Give a shout out to Stephen Richards, with Sandown on this weekend, and yeah, not that I'll be cheering on the Holden team, but yeah, go Shell.
Yeah, just of course, for those that don't know, Sades sell headphones, so gaming headphones. For anyone that's looking for a new set of headphones, don't hesitate to head over to their website and see what they've got on offer for you.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Borgie.
Yeah, and our final interview tonight, of course, Nick will be with Daniel Leet, up 18 positions to come home in 25th. Hi Daniel, welcome back to the Combox, mate. Have you got your breath back yet?
Yeah, mate, got it back. It was an interesting race, wasn't it?
Certainly was. There's a lot of action, that's for sure, and it looked like you've probably in the box seat to see quite a bit of it. But before we get to that, congratulations, 25th, up 18 positions, so that's a pretty good result, mate.
Yeah, not too bad. A lot of that's probably attributed to the attrition of some of the fields. So, unfortunate for those guys. Obviously, we saw the big one at the start of the race, and there was a couple of others on preceding restarts. But yeah, I guess you don't have to be the quickest to sort of make up a few spots at the end of that day, do you?
Well, that's it. It's all about the brain, isn't it? And that's what you're using out there. But yeah, so what was it like out there in a V8 supercar? You're normally up here with me, but Nick was kind enough to jump up to give you a run. So what was your experience like out there?
It's very different. Obviously, me, I like driving the GT stuff. So going from that to the V8, which you don't have the error, you don't have the driving aids and that, massive difference. But I was actually really impressed with how well this car got up through the likes of a Rouge and even through some of the quicker things. I know I was talking to Nick saying it wasn't quite how I like the setup, but all in all, the car handled really, really well.
You just needed to trust me, mate.
Well, I deviated a little from your setup, but all in all, no, the main points where you need the good grip, especially getting through a Rouge, and the quicker double left-hander there was really excellent.
Good stuff, and you probably, in all honesty, did a better job than me in the end, and so you probably got it over me in the comms box, and now you've got it over me on the track as well. So what's in future for Daniel Leet? No,
I don't have it over you yet, mate. You're still quicker on the track than me, so we don't have to worry about that. But no, it's good to sort of get the variety of what's happening on the track. Obviously, we talk about it week in, week out with these boys, but it is good to see from the other side how the racing is, how the driving standards between everyone are. And I had a great battle with Simon Mazzomo at the end of the race, and I sort of ballsed up the final corner a bit leading into the last lap, and ruined probably what would have been a good end of the finish of the race for us two. But no, look, it was good fun. Okay, and just a couple of points that I'll finish up on. One is, Bernie mentioned there driving with your head. I saw in both the incidents, without having a close look at it, and interested to get your take on it. It just looks like people just need to use their heads a bit more by the looks of it, and actually use that middle pedal when they can see some incidents unfolding in front of them. So how did you approach them, and what did you see when you arrived at them? We were probably a little lucky with the first incident. A few of the guys that were for our team that qualified a little higher up in the field were sort of able to notify us through the race channel that there was a bit of an incident. So it gave you the ability to check up, sort of pull the car out of the way, and let those guys that thought they could drive it through Days of Thunder style maybe make a bit of an incident there. But I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, if you hear that's happening or you see the smoke in front of you, don't be the hero. Just hit the brakes, get through it. You know, might have more flow-on effect where everyone can get through and we're not sat still waiting. Because I think I was probably one of the last cars to leave that incident from lap 1. The second one would have been the restart after the actual safety car. I know there was another incident turn 1, and I think if you're on the inside and I'd sort of gone out wide, I think Brett O'Brien was around me and Matt Lapoitevin had got through. The guys that had spun started reversing back and clipped me and put me into the wall. So I think if you use the black boxes that we got, so your relatives and all that, and you can see cars are stopped, you know, just wait that extra second, let them through, and get on your way. It's not going to affect you. It won't take anyone else out of the way. So, yeah, the using your head things, in all honesty, probably a little bit of common sense, but you know, the red mist, these guys want to make up spots and get further ahead, probably descends, and they just battle on with it.
Yeah, fair enough. And just finally, how did the rest of the team fare tonight?
Yeah, really good. Nathan Tregarthen, I think he was the top finisher for the team, finished in ninth tonight, so great drive from him. Really starting to progress his way up the ranks and battle on there. I think a few of the guys, I know Tony Gaffer had a bit of an issue with an engine that popped as a result of that first lap 1 incident. I think he finished 5 laps down off the pace. Matt Lapoitevin had a pretty good run. I think he was inside the top 25, might be wrong there.
Yeah, finished 20th, one spot behind Darryl Hockey and 19th there.
Yeah, so 2 inside the top 20 there, those guys, or 3, sorry, inside the top 20, the boys did pretty well tonight.
Good stuff.
Yeah, fantastic, Daniel. But before we let you go, mate, have you done your sponsors yet? Because I was fiddling and killing my overlays.
No, I haven't done the sponsors, but I will do. First off, shout out to yourself, Nick. Thanks for stepping up, mate, and having a crack in the box so I could have a run tonight. Pagnium, Next Level Racing. Who else have we got? Wes something. Who's the internet mob, Nick? I can't think of. I'm sorry.
No, more of Leading Edge Computers, mate.
There you go, Leading Edge Computers.
And Way South Internet
Way South
and phone.
Internet. Yeah, all those guys have done a great job. Nick for putting on a great series. Help with obviously with Pagnium and you, Bernie, for putting that on. You know, a lot of time out of your days to help run these events. So yeah, thanks very much from all the guys that take part in this series, mate.
I'll tell you what, you can come and have your commentary seat back. There's just too many cars for me to keep in touch with what's going on. If we had fields of 10 to 15, I'd feel a lot more comfortable up here.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get my my additional screens working and maybe get more data, because I think 3 is not maybe enough to be able to do this properly.
No worries.
Yeah, fantastic.
Right.
Yeah, fantastic, Daniel. Well done, mate. And we better get down to the busy side of things, Nick, and that is choosing drive of the night.
Yeah, well, gee, to me, the choices are Dane Warren, and gee, yeah. It's hard. It's an easy choice because he won, but I think he, and Riley mentioned it. He was such a sort of the class of the field, and after that, I think you've got probably Riley, Brian, and Marlon, who were involved in those great battles through to the end, as well. That just the entertainment value that they provided us. So gee whiz. And then, if you want to pick someone else, you've got Matt Stratford, who started 50th and came home in 10th. So, to me, it's one of those 5.
Yeah, well, I normally cheat at this point. I normally split the points and I say, okay, I'm going to give 1 point to the biggest mover and then 1 point to probably Dane or one of the guys up the front there. Yeah,
I think Dane deserves it because he started from pole, and and Riley said he knew that he probably wasn't going to be able to catch him. He was just the class of the field out there tonight, and didn't put a foot wrong. Pretty much a flawless drive. So it's hard to go past it, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is, and as you said, he sat on pole. He'd led every single race lap apart from one, which I think was due to pits. But yeah, he pretty much dominated tonight. So yeah, I think driver of the night would definitely go to Dane Warren.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Well, that was easy. Normally Daniel sits there and he huffs and puffs for 10 years, but you did it like a pro there, Nick.
Well, I've got to make up for it. I've got to look professional somewhere, don't I, Bernie?
You did an awesome job. And I have to thank you, mate, for jumping in the last minute. Of course, folks, we did have Bailey Hall lined up for tonight, but unfortunately he's a bit sick, so he couldn't make it. So, yeah, big thanks to you, Nick, for jumping into the comm box with me and calling the race. That's much appreciated.
No worries. And we've got a week off next Friday, and then we're back on Friday week at Brands Hatch.
Fantastic, and it's going to be another awesome night of AOSC racing, and I always look forward to the Friday night supercars. They're always put on the action. But folks, tomorrow night, if you can tune in 8 p.m, GMT plus 10 or Australian Eastern Standard Time, we'll be broadcasting the first round of the World's Fastest Gamer qualifiers, the Australian split, and hopefully we're going to have a lot of Aussies in that race, and I'm looking forward to that. And then of course at 10 p.m. tomorrow night, I've got Alex Pohl joining me for the final round of the Sim Racers Asia GTE Asia Pacific, and we find out tomorrow night, folks, who wins the Caterham Drive, which is what they've been competing on. And tomorrow night's going to be interesting. It's a team event, 90-minute enduro, so it's definitely going to be worth tuning in. That's 10 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, GMT plus 10. And then of course Monday night, the Monday night lights are back, so we're definitely looking forward to all of that skippy action. So quite a bit still on RRTV for you guys. If you don't have enough of Sandown, if you're in Australia, then tune in and join us.
Sounds good, Bernie. Certainly keeping you busy, mate. Good to see.
Yeah, as my dad would say, it keeps me off the streets, but yeah, it's great fun, so wouldn't have it any other way. But anyway, folks, thanks for tuning in. It's pretty much the end of the night for us here on RRTV. We've really appreciated your company wherever you've been, whether you watched us through iRacing Live or on YouTube. We really appreciate you tuning in, because if it wasn't for you guys, we would not be doing this at all. But until we see each other again, hopefully tomorrow night, I hope you have a great Saturday, and we look forward to your company again tomorrow evening. But until then, on behalf of Nick Hausler, Daniel Leet, I'm Bernie Weemers, and I'd like to say good night. Good night.